program is the Active Center.
Hey everyone, welcome. Tax season is on the horizon, so let's break down everything you need to know for the 2025 tax year. This is your quick guide to getting the essentials right. Let's dive in. All right, first things first, let's get right to the biggest question on everyone's mind. Do I even need to file a tax return? It's the starting point for everything, and honestly, the answer isn't always obvious. So let's figure it out together. For most of us, the answer is actually pretty straightforward. It really just comes down to two key things. Your filing status, are you single, married, etc., and your total gross income for the year. The IRS sets these specific income levels, and if you're above them, well, you've got to file. Let's take a look at the numbers.
Okay, so if you're a single filer and you're under 65, this is your magic number for 2025. If your gross income was $15,750 or more, then yep, you are required to file a return. It's as simple as that.
And what about married couples who file together? Well, it's pretty simple. The threshold is basically just doubled. If your combined gross income is $31,500 or more and you're both under 65, then you'll need to file a joint return. All right, so this chart kind of lays it all out for us. We've already talked about single and married filing jointly, but you can also see the number here for head of household, which is often used by single parents, and that's set at $23,625. Whoa, okay, hold on. This one is a huge surprise for a lot of people. If you're married but you decide to file separately, that income threshold plummets to just $5. Yep, you heard that right. $5. It's not a typo. Basically, if you pick this status, you almost certainly have to file. But, of course, life isn't always that simple, right? Not everyone fits neatly into those boxes. What if you're self-employed? Or maybe you're a student who's still claimed as a dependent. These kinds of special situations have their own rules, so let's get into those. So if you're a freelancer, a gig worker, or you run your own small business, you need to listen up, because this is critical. If your net earnings, that's after expenses, hit $400 or more, you have to file, period. This rule completely overrides those higher income numbers we just looked at. Now, this next one trips up a lot of students and young adults. Check this out. Even if someone else, like your parents, can claim you as a dependent, you still might have to file your own return. If the money you earned from a job was over $15,750, you've got to file. And there's one more important group to talk about. The IRS actually gives seniors a little extra breathing room. So if you're 65 or older, your income threshold to file is a bit higher than the standard amounts, which is definitely a helpful break. Okay, so let's say you've gone through all that and figured out, yep, I need to file. The good news is you absolutely do not have to go it alone. Whether you need some free help or you're looking for a pro for a more complicated situation, there are some amazing resources out there. Let's start with the free options, because who doesn't love free? The VITA program is fantastic if you have a more moderate or low income. Then there's TCE, which is similar but really focuses on questions that seniors often have. And don't forget about IRS Free File. It's a partnership that lets you use big-name tax software completely for free as long as your income is below a certain amount. But what if your financial life is a little messier? Maybe you've got investments or a rental property or a booming side hustle. In that case, hiring a professional like a CPA or an enrolled agent can be a really smart move. It's an investment in your peace of mind. Okay, the moment of truth. You filed your return and you owe the IRS. Now what? What's the best way to actually pay them? Well, you've got options, but as you're about to see, some are way better than others. Look, the IRS itself practically begs you to pay electronically, and for good reason. It's way faster. It's more secure, and you get that instant confirmation that your payment was received. You can still mail a check, of course, but the digital way is just smarter and safer. And when you decide to go electronic, you've got a few different paths. IRS Direct Pay is awesome. It's free and lets you pay straight from your bank account. You can also pay right through your tax software when you file. Or you can use a credit or debit card, but just remember, there's usually a processing fee tacked on by a third-party company if you use a card. Now, if you're more old school and prefer the manual route, that's fine too. You can mail a check or a money order. Just make absolutely sure it's payable to the U.S. Treasury. You can even pay with cash at certain retail partner locations. All right, let's tackle the one thing that causes more tax time anxiety than anything else. What on earth do you do if you file your return and you see a tax bill that you just flat out cannot afford to pay right now? I know, this can feel totally overwhelming, like you're backed into a corner. But it is so important to know that there's a clear process for this. In fact, what you do next might be one of the most important financial decisions you make all year. Listen to me on this. I cannot say this loud enough. Even if you cannot send a single penny to the IRS, you must file anyway. Do not let your inability to pay stop you from filing that return on time. And here's the critical reason why. The penalty for failing to file is way worse than the penalty for failing to pay. We're talking magnitudes higher. Just by filing on time, you are saving yourself from the biggest, nastiest financial hit. It's that simple. Okay, so you filed. Now what? You have options. You can ask for a short-term plan, which gives you up to 180 more days to get the money together. If the bill is bigger, you can apply for an installment agreement and make monthly payments. The key thing here is to open that line of communication with the IRS. So, there you have it. We've covered if you need to file, where to get help, how to pay, and, most importantly, what to do if you can't. You've got the essential playbook for a much smoother tax season. So now the only question left is, what's your first step going to be?